me about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dream. Right now. Inspirational perspective.
Whenever I think about our community, I'm always asking myself, like, what is it that we need most? What is getting in our way when it comes to creating what it is that we intend to create powerfully? So I was thinking about last week's show and where we left off with this purposeful action. And the thing that kept coming to my mind is most of the people I know, we were just talking about it, the language we use, right? Most of the people I know are busy. Like, most of the people that I'm around are incredibly busy. And it's interesting. Tomorrow morning, I'll be working with a group of executives and we'll be doing 2023 strategic planning. And one of the areas that executives even fall down is in adhering to their strategy. So we go back to this clearly defining success. And this is the perfect time to talk about it because tip number 4 aligns with this one really well. But if we go back to clearly defining success, one of the other reasons you have to be clear is because you also have to know what life is trying to crowd out. When I say life, I mean like real-time life, real-time busyness. I'm not disqualifying busyness, by the way. I get it. I'm busy myself. But it is imperative if you want to be successful in alignment with your brand of success. What is your brand of success? Your dreams. This is what you're creating for your life. That you do not allow busyness and motion to get in the way. This is why tip number 3 is titled Taking Purposeful Action. Most of us are in some level of action. Now, may not be fully aligned with our dreams and our goals, but most of us are in some level of action. I'm afraid that the action that most of us in is not the right action. Here's how I know. Because if it were the right action, then you would be getting the results that you seek. And if you're not getting the results that you seek, it's likely that in all your busyness that you're taking the wrong action. If you have a dream, like this is your dream, what most of us do, we talked about this last week, Ade and Justin. What most of us do is we'll kick the dream down the road, like you kick the can. We push it off. And this is one of the other ways that, the word that comes to myself is we castrate ourselves. We castrate our dreams. Now think about the word castrate, and I'm using this word on purpose. Matter of fact, I'm just going to look it up. So to castrate something means to deprive of power, to deprive of your vitality, and to deprive you of your vigor. I just want you to think for a moment. Like, most people aren't waking up this morning feeling powerful. Instead, most folks are waking up feeling exhausted. And just stick with me for 1 second here. If I'm waking up feeling exhausted, then I probably didn't work on the right things the day before. Like, hear me out here. Even if you worked 17 hours, if you spent 17 hours on things that inspire you, you'll wake up with a sense of progress. There's a different vibrance and energy. There's a different vibration. When you spent 17 hours doing something that didn't necessarily matter to you, busyness, you're exhausted. You're exhausted. There's a different type of energy and vibration that comes with doing work that's aligned with your dreams. And the reason I say most of us are kicking the can of our dreams down the road, figuratively, is because we keep putting it off. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean. Now, Justin and I, Dave, we talked about, your goals, your timelines last week. Justin had a goal, and just to kind of use you as an example, you were like 50. Like, I'm gonna reach this when I'm 50. I challenged you to reach it sooner. You said 35. That's 8 years from now. Okay, which means that there's a different level of action you have to take now, and you felt the tension coming out that conversation. Now, one of the things we do in coaching is we follow up the next time you connect. How'd it go? How'd your practices go? How you doing? Did you feel a different level of urgency this week? If not, what got in the way? That's how intentional accountability around a goal, right? So you gentlemen can't be in a conversation with me one week, a coaching conversation, and then we don't revisit it and follow up this week, right? So I want to kick off there, and I want to use this as an example of what I mean. The busyness. Because I don't even have to, I could be wrong. Let me check in. But how did it go this week for you? Like, did the conversation from last Sunday inspire you to take different levels of action, or did you notice the crowd out? Like, the Monday morning grind kind of like crowd out the inspiration, the motivation that came from Sunday's conversation. I'd like to hear from you. Like, turn on our Dave's mic. Like, what happened? Like, just, really what happened? Either way.
I can go first.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
So it did put some pressure on me. I did go out and buy one of those dry erase like whiteboards.
Our action, purposeful action, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
For writing goals down and things of that nature. So put it right above my computer. So started, working on.
You start writing on it yet?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's got writing on it.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta ask because that's one of the things we do. We'll go get it and then it's it's empty though, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you start writing on it. That's awesome.
Yeah. I started writing on it, and then I also just tried to figure out ways to schedule in, like how you just mentioned stuff that interests me, that type of work,
right?
Instead of other work, and try to like schedule it in my day some way somehow, so I can, get that out. In terms, in my version, it'd be like script writing, things of that nature, brainstorming. For different projects.
Got you.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good work. Justin, what about you? How did it go from last week?
Man, it triggered me. It triggered me having that conversation because I had to, think about what I was doing, and because I was continuously tiring myself out, like I was explaining to you. But then after the conversation, and as soon as my Monday started, I had to take a step back and look at everything and just clear my board and prioritize the things that I needed to go to get to first so I can get to my goals. And one of the things that me and you continuously talk about is writing things down. And I can say that I have aggressively progressed in that area, especially this week after having that conversation of writing things down, seeing what my goal is, taking out the stuff that I'm doing that's just wasting time and pushing that to the side. And like, this is priority right now. And I'll get back to that stuff because that's not a part of these goals that I set right here. And so it definitely, it reset my focus a little bit, which is why I told you I was a little burnt out, because now I started going a little bit harder on those goals and trying to close that little time gap, but not saying that the time gap is what I'm working toward, but I'm just putting in more work on the things that are going to take me to my goal as opposed to the stuff that's just like filling in time.
Got you. Oh, man, that's huge. I love hearing that. So, and how has that been feeling for you, for both of you? Like, how is it to begin working on what it is that you intend to create?
Well, for me, it's definitely helped me sleep a lot better because now I know my purpose as opposed to, just doing wayward work and just being tired from just random labor.
So you rest better.
I do.
Okay. Nobody said that was a benefit of goal setting, but it is.
Waking up knowing what I want to do, yeah.
Well, yeah, you're clear.
You're clear, yeah.
Yeah, you're clear. Yeah, before I went to bed last night, I had to write some things down, right? And then you rest better. All right, go ahead, Ade.
I definitely agree with that. I also been sleeping well, but the main thing for me was also, I guess.
So wait a second. Both of y'all been sleeping better?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
By creating more intentional tension in your life, you're sleeping better. Interesting. All right, go ahead. Keep going. See, I can't make this stuff up, folks. I say it, and it's like, of course, Linnell says it, right? Of course, it comes off, I think sometimes, but you all say it, and I hope they really get it, right? Go ahead, Ade. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, the main thing for me was feeling some type of sense of fulfillment because I feel like my time is well spent in the hours I do put into my passions and my interests and things like that. So time, really.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. So I guess I get a more positive feeling that my day wasn't wasted. I don't know how to really describe it.
Yeah, but you're
my
like,
time was well spent. Yeah.
You're making the most of the time that you've been given.
Exactly.
So then there's a different. So then, are you waking up feeling different?
Yeah.
How is it when you wake up?
More energetic than usual.
Yeah. So I wasn't just talking a moment ago. What about you, Justin?
I feel more powerful, actually. Like, I feel like, I feel powerful and just like the pride of like, okay, I know why I'm doing this. And man. And my outlook on that goal and what it can do for my family is like amazing. So it gives me a lot more energy than I had before.
Wonderful. It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Okay. So let's pick up from right there, right? So we talked about the business, we talked about now, and then we talked about kicking the can of our dreams down the road. You gentlemen distinguish your dreams. We put some timelines in place. We put some more tension there because I pushed you on the timelines. And now notice this, you all. They said it. I didn't tell them to say this before the show, I promise you. Did I tell y'all to say this before the show?
No.
Okay. But notice that tension is now creating better rest and a different vibration and energy. This is what I call one of the side effects of setting goals. Setting goals create positive emotions. You want to know why so many people aren't happy? You want to know why depression's at an all-time high? Because people are living without intention. We are creative beings who were put here for a purpose and intention, and people largely are living without intention. That's why they feel just a little weird, because they're this powerful creative being that's living out life by default, being told what to do, when to go, where to come, what to wear, what to eat, and then blindly trusting that program that is proven is not built for us to thrive. Whenever you set a goal, you should have a plan. So you lay out your plan. Now, if you don't know how to do that, just so happens that we've started doing that and continue to do that over the next month in Slay Your Goals, in the Slay Your Goals coaching community. If you want to join that community, you can go to slayyourgoals.com. At the very top, there's a join the membership. Hit that button. You can join the membership. Okay? Now, and by the way, I'm saying I say it like that so matter of fact because people have excuses. Well, I don't know how to create the plan. I don't know how to. It's like, no, I'm taking away all your excuses. If 2023 is not your year, it's because you clearly decided not to take action. If you're listening every week and 2023 ain't your year, it's because you listened and decided, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to join. I don't have time to go to the webinars. I don't have, like, you decided that your goals weren't that important. That's it. $37 a month, you get all the training you need. Okay, slayyourgoals.com. All right, so what we do with action is we set major milestones. And I'm going to say go to the book to read this part. I'm not going to go into details because it is detailed. And it's a little difficult to talk about. It's easier to read, okay? But you go in and you create your major milestones, and then you come up with your simple plan. I talk about all this in the book, okay? A simple plan is a plan that is easy to follow and implement. The other thing that we often do is we make everything too complex. And I don't care how difficult the goal is, the action steps that you follow should be simple. They should just be simple plans. Now, here's the other really important thing. In the book, I make a very special note on page 18 for those of you who are, page 19 for those of you who may be following. In the special note, I say this. Now you understand how to create simple action plans and major milestones. Let's chat about what really makes these two mechanisms come to life. And what really makes these two mechanisms come to life is your why. Why do you want to create what it is that you are creating? Why do you want to buy a new home? We've been using a home as an example. Why do you want to buy a new home? Why do you want to set that big, hairy, audacious goal? I call it big and hairy because we're scared of things that are big and hairy. For example, I remember taking my wife to Thailand, and all she wanted to do was take a picture with an elephant until she got close to it. She said, it's so big and hairy. I'm like, yeah, like people's goals. I didn't say that at the time, but that's my point, right? We get scared. The closer we get to the achievement of the goal, the scarier it becomes. What's wrong with us? This is how it works, man. The closer you get to the achievement of your big, hairy, audacious goal, the scarier it becomes. Why? Because you are literally about to change your life. And the one thing human beings don't like is change. We do not like change. Even change that we suggest and implement, we fight it. We fight it. This is why they say marriage is hard for the first 2 years. Because two people have decided to make a change, and then they get into the change and want to act the same way they were acting before they made the change. And so there's conflict. That's why the first 2, I remember they were like, first 2 years of marriage are hard. I'm like, hey, man, we're going to be fine. We in love. We special. We different. Then the first 2 years came. You're like, woo, Jesus, that was interesting. And then what we had to figure out is we had to change. I had to change. My wife had to change. Same thing with children, same thing with most things, right? There's a certain level of change that where we're looking to go requires. There's something about being spiritually awake that creates a healthy tension that causes you to want to do something like setting a goal. I've been thinking real hard. He just gave me the answer. I've been thinking real hard about this. Like, why is it that we can be so okay with mediocrity? Like, why is it that we can get so wrapped up? I was having a conversation again with the Slayer Goals members on Thursday night. And one of the members was sharing in their coaching session how they didn't have time. So busy. So I just asked a simple question. And the question was, so that, you're not watching any TV? You're not watching any Netflix? Like, if you're too busy to go after what is most important to you in this life, right? Which your dream, which comes from the Creator. You're not given any idea by accident. Your dream that comes from the Creator, if you don't have time to take action on that, then you must be telling me that you don't have any downtime. Like, you don't have, like, Linnell, I ain't watching no Netflix. I'm not on social media. I don't have time to scroll. I don't know what nobody doing on Instagram. I ain't seen a comedy skit on YouTube. I ain't done none of that in years, in months, in weeks. Like, that's what I'm hearing. Like, if you're telling me you don't have time to create what you intend to create in your life, then that's the question I'm asking. Like, you haven't watched CNN, right? You don't know what's going on in the world. You're too busy. You don't know what's going on in the world. You ain't watch MSNBC. You're not watching Good Morning America. Like, you get where I'm going? Like, let's be clear. Let's be clear. A lot of us, we are under the illusion that we don't have time. And the reason we are under the illusion that we don't have time is because we have adopted a filter that looks at everything as whether or not, do I have enough of it? Do I have enough money? Do I have enough love from my spouse? Do I have enough time? And because I'm always looking at, do I have enough? When I look at time, I ask the same question, and my answer is going to be the same across the board. Am I getting enough love from my spouse and attention? No. Do I have enough time? No. Right? Because the way that filter works is there is never enough. And until we actually change the filter that you're looking at life with, you're looking at life through, then nothing changes. And here is the fundamental shift that we have to make in the goal setting process. All creation is spiritual. If you want to be a powerful creator, then you must slow down and reconnect to your spirit. Now, let me tell you why. Some of what you all have in front of you in terms of the next step or what it is that you're supposed to create scares you. It scares you. And if you're looking for the source to overcome that fear alone within yourself, you're in trouble. This is why spiritual connection is so powerful. Because when you begin to fully understand that the Creator is your source, the brother said it the same way he provides food for the birds. He is your source. When you really truly begin to understand that the Creator is your sole source. Like, I think some of us got it confused. Like, we look at the job as the source. Oh my God, this job. That's why you carry so much anxiety. You look at all these other things as your source. And we have to learn how to reorient ourselves. Because when you see the Creator as your sole source, because He is, like there's no other way around it, whether you honor Him or not, whether you talk to Him or not, whether you're in relationship with Him or not, like the Creator is your source. And it's your spirit that woke you up. And it's the connection that your spirit has to the source that woke you up. And one of the reasons many of us will continue to sleep well past our potential, will allow our dreams to escape us, is because we're not properly connected. The reason I go spiritual all the time is because you can't talk creation without spirituality. You just can't. You can't. And this is the number one way to know whether somebody who is quote unquote spiritual is really spiritual. Anybody who is truly spiritual should have evidence of life around them. What is evidence of life? Fruit. Fruit. Yahshua said it. How do you know if something's real or not? Check the fruit. Is the person that you're following, I be realizing I'm saying this on a Sunday morning sometime. Is the person you're following, do they have fruit? Like, real life fruit. What's fruit? Fruit is something you can eat from. But get this. This is the beauty of fruit. Fruit is something that you can eat from. But then even after you've consumed it, there are seeds to grow more. So this means that whoever I follow, not only must the eating be good, but then I should be able to plant seeds without them and grow the same thing. Without them. That's what fruit is, right? I should be able to grow the same thing. There's a movement in leadership, and it's been this way for thousands of years, that has a person relying on another person for everything that they eat without a seed. Like that, there's nothing I can plant, and there's nothing I can do when you're gone. And this type of leadership is one of the reasons our community is where it's at right now. Because when our leaders are gone, there's nothing else. Like, it's, what are we going to do? Because seeds weren't planted. When I talk about goals, you have to understand that all I'm doing is saying, hey, here are the seeds. Like, you can keep going. Like, you can listen to these shows without me 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And I promise you something will grow. So it's food and seed. Be careful. Make sure the person that you follow is not just feeding you, but that you can eat after that, because what they feed you has seeds. There are things to do, ways to grow, and it can be done without them. Tip number 4 is, what will you stop? What will you stop? You intend to create something new, something audacious, something big in your life. Then what will you give up? What will you sacrifice to create your intention, to create your aspiration, to create your dream? What will you sacrifice? I opened the show talking about busyness, right? All right, so there's a quote that says, "Do not confuse motion and progress. A rocking horse keeps moving but does not make progress." That's a lot of folk. They just in place. Every day, rat race. Nothing's changed. Health and well-being hasn't shifted. If anything, it's getting worse. Relationships haven't shifted. If anything, they're getting worse. Financial situation hasn't shifted. If anything, it's getting worse. Spirituality hasn't shifted. If anything, it's getting worse. But you're busy. You're exhausted. Like, that's when you know it's time for a change. That's like, if that's you right now, you're like, ooh-wee, this is my life. Like, this is when you know it's time for a change. And if this is me, my first goal is spiritual. I'm like, I need a spiritual awakening. I'm setting a spiritual goal. If my spirit wakes up, everything else can come. But most of us have busy lives. And consequently, we prefer the little free time we have left be filled with things we enjoy to do. Me too. I mean, I'm a human being, right? I'm not any different from you. I completely understand this. That's the only reason I watch so much TV. I just be tired, I work 10-hour days, and I got these children. I put them down, and I just feel like at the end of the day, I should just be able to have a moment. I should be able to have a moment and watch something. And then that something goes into like 3 or 4 programs, and then you up to 2 o'clock in the morning, and the cycle continues. Because you got to be back up at 6. I'm talking to somebody right now. You got to be back up at 6. So now you're exhausted, and you're in this cycle, and you stay in this cycle. Isn't it interesting that we're so tired, but instead of just getting into bed, we entertain ourselves and keep the cycle of exhaustion going? Isn't that fascinating? Like, what creature would do that to themselves? No other creature on the planet does that. If you have a dog, your dog will crawl up on the couch and go to sleep. Look at you. Your dog probably looks at you with concerned eyes. What are you doing? Why are we not asleep? And then the dog would look at it and probably shakes his head and lays down and goes to sleep. Because in its nature, it knows when it's exhausted, it's time to lay down. But this is what's happening. Like, the program is so powerful that it actually pulls us. Now, here's the thing. I believe a balanced life is important. I believe that. But most of us, we don't live balanced lives. And it's not because we work so hard, but it's because we have so much idle time outside of the work that we do. So how do we take on new goals and aspirations successfully while maintaining balance? Big question. My answer is simple. It's straightforward. It's a formula. And this answer works extremely well when executed. Here's the formula. Follow me. Step 1, if you start something. Step 2, plus stop something. You have to stop. Like, if you start something, there's something you got to stop. This is the biggest. It's simple, man. It's simple math, but here's the thing. Like, it's a matter of, if I'm going to start something, then there's something I must stop. Because last time I checked, give me a phone call. If your life is not full, if you ain't busy, if you when you go to sleep at night, you're like, man, if I just had another hour. If that's you, I need to know the trick. I need, because for most of us, I believe that our days are full. So if I'm going to set a goal, if I'm going to start something, then I also must identify what I'm going to stop. What am I going to stop? This is why folks are overwhelmed, by the way, because they always starting stuff and nothing's stopping. Nothing's stopping. To start something and then stop something equals balance. This is why so many folks are off balance. This is why you're out of balance. Here's how it works. Let me break this down. For every new goal you start, it's imperative that you identify something you will stop. Now, don't underestimate the power of this formula because it's so simple. Because the fact that people don't run this formula is why so many folks are overwhelmed. And chances are that if you create 3 goals at the start of a new year, these 3 wonderful aspirations will be the first things that you abandon when you get busy. It's new. You haven't even built the habit. The reason is because as a human being, you already have instinctive habits. And new goals will be under direct fire when the going gets tough. Or you get a bit busier. And if you don't plan for real life scenarios right now when you set the goal, you'll find yourself in trouble. This is how it goes. So for every goal you plan on taking on, you have to identify what you're going to stop doing. So let's go through the exercise right now. Like, be honest with yourself when you answer this question. And I got this in the book, by the way. You can download the book at slayyourgoals.com for free. You have to be honest, otherwise the formula doesn't work. So let's say one of your goals is as follows. Check this out. This is in the book. Here's the goal statement. To experience the rejuvenation of my mind and spirit by adequately sourcing my body. Then the measure is to lose 30 pounds in 200 days. Now check this out. Just a little bit of training for folks who aren't in the Slay Your Goals community, because we covered this past Thursday. The goal is to experience the rejuvenation of my mind, spirit by adequately sourcing my body. That's the goal. That's what I read every day. That's what I obsess about. That's what I'm thinking about. The measure is to lose 30 pounds in 200 days. Here's where people mess up in the goal setting process. Check this out. They believe the goal is to lose 30 pounds in 200 days. That's not the goal. That's how you measure the goal. So if I'm thinking about losing 30 pounds in 200 days, every time I say that, what comes up for me? I mean, y'all tell me, like, if you had to lose 30 pounds in 200 days and you were saying this to yourself every day, what would come up? What kind of emotions would you experience? Justin, what kind of emotions would you experience?
Anxiety, kind of.
Anxiety, yeah. What about you, Justin?
Definitely like stress and anxiety, yes.
Stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
But this is how they're teaching us to set our personal goals. This is how they teach you. This is what a SMART goal is. It's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's realistic, and it's time-bound. This carries all the evidence of a SMART goal. But it gives you anxiety. This is how they teach folks to set goals. Ain't that crazy? Now, here's the thing. The reason SMART goals work in a professional environment is because the context of that environment is survival already. The context of corporate America is that you can never do enough. That's why you feel stress and anxiety there. Right? And then they set goals that actually double down on the emotion because they want you to be afraid. Like it's a fear type of motivation. Most folks in corporate America aren't showing up in a, let's say, enthusiastic way to achieve the goals that have been given to them, because most of those goals are given to you, right? That have been given to them by their boss. Most folks aren't showing up enthusiastically to create those things. Most of them are showing up with stress and fear because the goal doesn't feel realistic. How we going? I remember being in corporate America. They'd be like, all right, what we need you to do is we need you to implement all this over here, but you can't spend no money. And you feel all that tension, right? And they do it on purpose because they want you to have that level of tension so you spend as little as possible, you do as much as possible, right? Because they need their earnings. This is how billion-dollar companies are billion-dollar companies. Because they have creative cogs in a wheel. They have taken human beings who have these creative powers, and they're using your creative powers to manifest in their businesses. Ooh. No, you didn't, Linnell. Did you just say that? Did you just push them up? This is what's happening. This is why corporate America is so powerful. So they've taken your creative ability and they're directing it for their success. And then when it comes to your own stuff, you don't know what to do because you're using their formula to create it. And their formula is going to give you stress and anxiety. So then you drop it. You remain overweight. Your relationships remain fragmented. Your money goals remain unfulfilled. And your financial issues drive you to be beholden to them as your source and as your savior. It's a lot of folks that get up. I ain't mean to talk about this, y'all. I don't know. It's a lot of folks that get up on Sunday morning and claim to have a savior that they actively don't worship and follow. It's your job. Whew. This is heavy. I'm sorry, Sunday morning, Linnell. Why you doing this? But I mean, it's in my spirit. It's the truth. It's like it got to come out. Now, follow me. Don't get flustered and give up, because we are all, listen to me, including me, we are all wasting time in some area of our lives. You want to become intentional? You got to start measuring the time you waste. Like, how much time am I wasting? Where could you start being more intentional in your life? How much time are you spending just waking up in the morning? Like, my wife told me one of her friends has this term called brewing. She'll wake up and just lay in the bed. Some of us wake up and first thing we do is grab our phone. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, you could have prayed, meditated, and even had a small workout. Know what I'm saying? But we're like, I'm not wasting any time. Like, okay, some of y'all brewing in the morning. Like, You're like, no, I'm not. I'm doing other things. Yeah, you were sitting on the toilet, but you didn't have to sit on the toilet that long. If you sat on the toilet with intention, it didn't take that long. How much time are you spending on social media? How much time do you spend watching television throughout the week? How much time do you spend on your lunch hour at work? Just talking. Just shooting the breeze. The idea is that you get curious about how you're currently living your life. And this curiosity will begin to uncover. I can guarantee you that it will begin to uncover the places in your life where you are not living with intention in a way that aligns with what matters to you most. See, when I'm fully present, this is why I tell Slay Your Goals members to read your goals every day. Because when I'm fully present to what matters most in my life, I'm reading it every day. Like, wasting time hits different. Like, I just read a couple of hours ago all the things I want to achieve in 2023. So then when the notification goes off on the phone, it's kind of hard to, I can't be doing this. Like, I'm wired for intention. Got things to do. That's going to take away from that. Listen to this. To start living with intention means you must start eliminating where you have been living by default. Let's say it one more time. To start living with intention means you must start eliminating where you have been living by default. What is living by default? Living by default is living underneath the programming of our society today. If you don't have intention, you will be living by default. You will be doing what you're told to do. You will be eating what you're told to eat. Your health will be what they intend for it to be, which is not good. If it were good, you wouldn't have to turn over those boxes, at least I do, you should too, and read the ingredients of everything you buy. I was at a birthday party last Sunday, man. Let me tell you, like, For those of you who have children, if you don't start training them now, like they're in this society today, like if you don't start training them how to eat now, you're setting them up for type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, type 3 diabetes. Now we just learned that type 3 is connected to dementia. It's sugar crystals on the brain, which is why people are sugar crystals. Sugar crystals. Can you believe that? Anyway, they're setting us up. Now, where are these sugar crystals coming from? I'm at this birthday party. Got Legend. They gave out, what's it, Hawaiian Punch? Is that what it's called? Is it Hawaiian Punch? Is it Hawaiian Punch? All right, so let me tell you what they were feeding the children. And this is so normal to us. Like, I'm like in there, I'm disgusted, right? The children had pizza, cake, muffins, Hawaiian Punch, and candy. And then you wonder why they acting crazy. You just basically overdosed them on sugar. That should be illegal. That should be child abuse. It's normal. By the way, the parents that did it, no shade, because they're doing what every other parent normally does. Now, you come to Legend's birthday party or Rain's birthday party, you're not going to eat like that. We're just not doing that, right? But this is normal. So Legend, like, Daddy, there's nothing here I can eat. So I know, buddy. He's like, can I have at least the juice? I said, well, no. And I had to pull him to the side because the parents looking at me like, what a horrible father. Right? Now, mind you, he's not even upset. We be in these conversations. And so I whispered in his ear, I said, well, the Hawaiian Punch has corn syrup in it, high fructose corn syrup. And he went, oh. He already knows. He's 5 years old. He didn't want the juice no more after that, right? He's been taught properly. Oh, okay. I said, yeah, it's not good for you. I said, the juice we have at home doesn't have that. So when you get home, you can have some juice. Here's the other thing. He's so trained that if he tasted that juice, he'd have been like, ooh, Daddy is so sweet. Because he's not used to that level of sugar. By the way, an adult human being should only have 25 grams of sugar a day. That's an adult. What we're giving these children, phew. And then you wonder why, your child has attention deficit disorder. I bet they do. That sugar is rocking their brain. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. But that's my point. It's like, you get where I'm going? It's bad out here, man. We have to live with intention. Living by default is where I'm going. We're living by default. How is that birthday program a good program? It's a simple question. You tell me in Facebook land, like somebody put it in comments. How is that birthday party, how is that normal? Like, we've normalized this stuff, man. That's the program. If you're living by default, your child will go in there and eat all that. And you wouldn't assume anything else. And then later, you're spanking them, talking about them. You need to stop. What's wrong with you? Well, Mommy, you dope me up on sugar. That's what's wrong with me. Well, Daddy, you let me eat all that. That's what's wrong with me. But the program that's running, if you're living by default, they'll normalize this stuff. Here's the thing. I'm back to the book now. I wrote it right here. Many of us wake up every day and never fully engage in our lives. Many of us wake up every day and never fully engage in our lives. What's full engagement? What am I going to create today? What are the top 3 things I'm going to do? What is the first thing I'm going to drink, put in my body? Most of us like on autopilot going to get coffee, a dehydrator. And by the way, the program says that's the right thing to do, right? So everybody will start their day with over 25 grams of sugar. That's normal. And it's with the Starbucks. That's normal. And by the way, if you don't have it, you're weird. You know, Linnell doesn't need coffee in the morning. Everybody's like, oh my, like, you know, I'm like a unicorn or something. Oh my. I'm like, I'm weird because I don't need 25 grams of sugar to start my day. I don't need all the pumps of whatever. I don't need the caffeine. That's like basically squeezing my brain. Whew. Many of us wake up every day and never fully engage in our lives. We just move about on autopilot. If you want to win at life, you can't. You gotta be fully engaged. Or let me ask the question, like, do you want to win at life? Do you want to have the best life possible? Like, do you truly want to start slaying your goals? Because if so, then what you need to do is you have to get clear on what you're going to stop. You must be clear on what you're going to stop. Tip number 5. Affirm your goals daily. Affirm your goals daily. Maya Angelou said, life likes to be taken by the lapel and told, I'm with you, kid. Let's go. When you affirm your goals daily, you're saying, Linnell, I am fully engaged in this opportunity of life. This is what we're going to create today. Imagine living like that every day. He was like, Linnell, why are you so positive? Well, because I'm fully engaged. I'm fully engaged in life, man, and life is good. Many of our goals go unfinished, not because they're extremely difficult and complicated, but because they aren't at the top of our minds. And so this is why creating daily affirmations out of your goals that include each goal you have will not only assist you in keeping those goals top of mind, but this will also keep you focused, motivated, and inspired towards the achievement of those goals. So let me get clear about what an affirmation is. And let me tell you this. I remember people are all over the place on affirmations. So first, let me break down why I believe in affirmations. First, let me go there. Because I remember when I was in coach training, I was going through coach training. I asked the master coach, I said, I noticed y'all don't do affirmations. And at this point in my life, I'm already setting goals. I'm successful to some extent. I say to some extent because it was like basically only financially at the time. And I'm like, why don't you all set affirmations? Because that's what worked for me. They're like, well, affirmations aren't, scientifically backed. And I'm like, oh, okay. Huh. I'm like, well, that's interesting because to me, doesn't science just require that you test something? Like, doesn't science just require that you test something? And then based on all the results, you make an assumption, and that's scientific. And then you can say, based on the research, this is what affirmations do and don't do. Why haven't you all done that? If you're an organization about the betterment of people's lives, and she was like, well, it just doesn't work. Affirmations don't work. Okay. I'm like, well, I believe they do, and so I'll be teaching affirmations in my practice. She's like, why do you believe they do? And I said, because affirmations program the mind. Words, I did this show, The Unknown Power of Words, at the end of last year. Go check it out if you haven't already. But if you listen to the show, one of the things I talked about is the power of words and how words have a vibration, and those words begin to create. If you know anything about science, everything around us is a vibration. If I were to touch the camera in front of me, the reason my fingers hit the screen is because it has a different vibration. So those vibrations come up against each other, it creates pressure. But my phone is nothing more than a bunch of electrons, protons, molecules, atoms, etc., all in a vibration. Those electrons are all in a vibration, and those vibrations have a certain polarity, negative, positive, etc., that hold things together. Words can manipulate that vibration. We talked about this on that show, okay? This is the power of words. This is why, listen to this. You all be careful. I'm at the gym. Let me tell you how powerful words are. I'm at the gym one morning. One of the guys at the gym, he's driving a newer Audi A6. Anybody, you know me for a while, I drove an Audi A6 for 13 years. All right? I love that car. And it was paid for, and that's why I loved it so much. And it was a great car, right? It's that 08 body style, the Audi A6. It was just classic, so I love that car. So anyway, he has a newer Audi A6. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, I like that black on black Audi you got. That's one of my favorite vehicles. I always loved the Audi A6. And he was like, yeah, man, I want to get rid of it. I don't want it no more. This is what he said. Words. We're talking about the power of words. I don't want it anymore. I want to get rid of it. I said, well, why, man? That's a tough car. When I signed for it last year, the interest rate started going up. And I feel like the interest on the car is too much. I was excited. I shouldn't have got it. Then he said it again. I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. I said, well, is there something else you want to get? Nah, man, I feel trapped by that car. Now, it's a powerful lesson for folks, because when he got it, he was excited, right? Must have created some financial tension. Now he doesn't want it. But the fact that he's saying it is even more powerful. Listen to what happens. This is like a month ago. Talking to my brother, he like, yo, so-and-so got into an accident. His car got totaled. I said, wow, what happened? So-and-so is the guy with the black Audi A6. I said, wow, what happened? He said, somebody ran a stop sign, totaled his car. He all right, though, but his car got totaled. I'm like, yo, Q, talking to my brother. I'm like, he just told me he didn't want the car. He told me twice. With an emphatic emotion, I could feel it. Look what he created. He relieved himself of his car. Hey, man. Now, somebody might say, well, Anel, that's just a coincidence. Okay. You believe that if you want to. See, I'm in too many, I be watching, man. I'm in too many of these conversations. You best be careful what you say. You best be careful what you say. Because words have power. Okay, so then if words have power, how can we use that power to our advantage? Through affirmation. Through affirmation. So if I can speak something like that and manifest it, why can't I manifest my goals the same way? So use the power of words to manifest things into my life. All right? So, but furthermore, I want to be more clear on what an affirmation is, right? So we understand why affirmations work and why affirmations are powerful. But here's what an affirmation is. An affirmation is a carefully formatted statement that should be read, repeated, or written frequently. I say daily. For an affirmation to be effective, it should be present tense. It should be positive, it should be personal, and it should be specific. This is in the book, by the way. You can go download it for free at slayergoals.com. So in the book, I share 2 examples of goals. I have to experience the joy and excitement of purchasing my first house and creating a loving home for my family. I have that goal. And then I also have in the book to experience the rejuvenation of my mind and spirit by adequately sourcing my body. We just talked about that goal. So once I have clear goal statements, then these objectives can be easily transformed into powerful affirmation statements. So here is the very first affirmation statement that I would have for the first goal. Justin and Ade, y'all listening to this? Because this is what you do with those goals we created, right? The experiences you all created, this is what you do. Slay Your Goals community, we're going to be doing this together soon. I am happy and grateful that I have purchased my first house and transformed this house into a loving home for my family. Now notice how it's all present tense. Notice the emotions of happiness and gratitude, and I'm feeling that when I say it. I am happy and grateful that I have purchased my first home and transformed it into a loving home for my first house and transformed it into a loving home for my family. Okay, here's the second one. I am happy and grateful that I have a strong and healthy body that sources my mental clarity and reflects the greatness of my inner being. How can you say that every day and stay where you are? Something's going to have to change. Something's going to have to change. Now, the fun is just getting started, because the next step is to read the affirmation out loud at least twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. Now, somebody right now is thinking, man, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. And I'm going to tell you something. If you think it's a lot of work, it's a good indicator that you haven't created a goal that really inspires you. Because if somebody tells me that's all I have to do to create something I really want, I'm like, what? Say what, coach? I'm already writing my affirmation down if somebody's telling me that. So if you like, that's a lot of work, then obviously you don't want what's on the other side of that goal. Like, you really don't want that, because, I mean, really, if reading 2 sentences twice a day is too much work, then you must not be aimed in the right direction. That's all I have to say. Now, this practice isn't something I think will work for you. I know it works. Exhibit A, right here. Right here. If you're on the radio, if you're listening through the radio, not on Facebook, I'm pointing to myself. Exhibit A, right here. It works. I've created my entire life through the goal-setting process and daily affirmation. And this is what every goal setter should know. This is chapter 7 in the book. Robert Burns said, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. If you're willing to do the work, I'm certain the 5 tips I've shared over the last 3 weeks, they will help you be successful. Download the book, do all those things. And I also know this, that setting audacious goals is not easy work. It's not easy. So if you want to achieve your own personal greatness and live the best life possible, this is the work that must be done. Like, you have to fight resistance. You have to push if you want to recreate your life. No pain, no gain. That's not just a cliche phrase that applies to sports and exercise. This phrase applies to every aspect of living. I'm just going to ask you this. I've said it before. I would rather endure the pain that I inflict on myself because I'm going after something than the pain of default living. You're going to have some pain. But what pain are you getting? Like, I'd rather have the pain of the tension I'm creating for the goals I intend to create than to have the pain of default living. Because default living is painful too. Everybody that's eating all that sugar, they're going to go to the doctor and they, oh, well, you know what? You got diabetes now. Oh, well, you know what? Your diabetes gotten so bad, you got to lose your foot. Like, that's painful. That's the pain of default living, default diets. I'd rather have the pain of, I was hungry at that party because they didn't have anything I could eat. I'd rather have that pain. I'd rather have that discomfort than some of the discomfort people going to get from living by default. I'm just saying. So, no pain, no gain. We know that applies to everything in life. So I got to address one aspect of the goal setting process that most folks leave out. They often neglect it. There's a clear difference between goals on paper and how those goals will be executed in real life. On paper, your goals are going to look good. They're going to look perfect. Everything's going to be aligned, double spaced, however you type it out. But if you aim for perfection, you're setting yourself up. You can't do it perfectly. I should have wore the Today I Choose Progress shirt, right? The commitment is progress, not perfection, because real life is always a bit messy. So we aim for excellence in the achievement of our goal. We stay focused on the goal no matter what, because we know that no matter how well we plan our goals out, that something will always happen that we didn't plan for. So the trick is to remember that when things like this happen, it interrupts your plans and it's not the end of the world. Thus, it's not the end of your plan. I wrote the book Slay Your Goals, 5 Tips for Achieving Your Life Goals, because I believe that most of the resources around goal setting and creating plans are flawed. I've pointed them out, right? We identified that SMART goals create stress and anxiety. And so I wanted to give people a different way of thinking about how to create their lives. We've been taught that our goals and plans should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. SMART goals. So that's where we've been focusing. And there's very little guidance and thought given to the potential barriers and all the things that may accidentally get in the way and stall our well-laid plans. So here's what happens. When people set goals and they begin working their plan, the first pothole, the first wall they run into, the first unforeseen obstacle they hit feels like failure. When in fact, it represents progress. That's right. Running into a wall, running into an unforeseen obstacle means progress. Somebody might say, well, Linnell, how was that progress? Because you took a step. No forward motion, no hitting the wall. If you hit the wall, that means you have some momentum. You all get this? See, most folks, man, we hit a pothole, and we slow down. Like, you riding, you hit a big pothole while you're driving. Oh, you're like, woo! You slow down a little bit, you start watching. So why when we hit a pothole in life, we stop? Oh, I probably shouldn't, maybe that means it wasn't the right goal for me. You just stop. Some of us had a weight loss goal. You fell off. That's a pothole. Keep going. Keep going. Put the Twinkies and Ho-Hos and cupcakes up. Throw them away again. Like, what's the second time, Linnell? That's all right. It's a pothole. Keep going. Whatever you do, don't stall. Hit a wall, climb over it. Can't climb, dig underneath it. Can't dig, tear the wall down. Can't penetrate the wall, then walk until you walk around it. But whatever you do in your goal setting process, don't quit. Our goals and our plans fail only because we quit. And we quit because we don't anticipate resistance. Resistance can surprise us, and we're unprepared for surprises. And being unprepared seems demoralizing. And feeling demoralized causes us to feel discouraged. And being discouraged highlights the exit to quit. But when you create your goals, you have to plan for resistance. Because if it hasn't revealed its ugly head yet, I can guarantee you it's coming. It will. I'll close with this. Les Brown said, accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get you where you want to go. No one else. It is you that will get you where you want to go. No one else. I can't do it. I can teach you. You got to do the work. The preacher can't do it. He can preach at you. You got to live the life. Nobody else can do it. You have to want it for yourself. Here's the last question I have for you. 100 years from now, will you even be remembered? Will you have a legacy? See, it doesn't have to be in the history books, but maybe it's your grandchildren. Maybe it's your great-grandchildren. Man, Grandpa, he laid things out for us. He set it up right. But will you be remembered? Or will you be a distant thought, a distant ancestor whose life is blurred by the program of default living? Like, you have a choice to make. What will you create? And what will you do? The two reasons that people abandon their goals. Number one, they simply forget. They forget because they don't affirm the goal. Number two, they get discouraged and quit. And they quit because they didn't expect resistance. Be persistent. Be tenacious. You got one life. And the question is, are you all in? This morning, be all in. Hey, my inspired peoples. Linnell Harris here, certified ontological coach and trainer. I'm so excited that you're watching the channel. By the way, did you know you can catch the show live at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning? You can. All you have to do is go to my Facebook stream, Coach Linnell Harris, catch the stream live, or you can listen to the radio show via iHeart at WVON 1690 AM. But since you're here, if you love the content, I ask that you share it, like this particular video, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you're having a great day.